Yeah, in the Citrix enumeration process, the users are going to connect to the storefront, either Citrix Workspace app or browser has been installed. Okay, so now the user can connect to the storefront. Internal users are going to access to the storefront. External users are going to connect through NetScaler. So now here, in order to start a session, the user is going to connect either through Workspace app or a storefront website. Then the user is going to select the physical or virtual desktop or virtual application that is needed. Okay, in this process, the user is getting the list of applications or resources which he has authorized. That getting that list is called as enumeration process. Then user can click on that any of that application, then application is going to launch. The user credentials are going to move to the controller. Okay, so from the storefront, so now here, so please tell me the process. First which component? Workspace app, Workspace app to
Storefront.
yeah, storefront to
Delivery controller.
come again.
Delivery controller.
Active
No, no,
Directory.
no, no. It's
Active
going to be
Directory.
Active Directory. In the Zenap 6, it used to connect to like a XML broker directly. Okay, but now it's going to communicate with the Active Directory. After Active Directory, delivery controller to
Again, Active Directory
again
for
Active
validation.
Directory. Yeah, for the authorization. Okay, after
Validation.
this
Okay.
Active Directory, again it goes to delivery controller.
Delivery controller.
Delivery controller will check with
Site database.
a site database. So we have a SQL server. Since Zenap 6 and 6.5, like XML broker used to contact with localhost cache itself internally. But now it's going to communicate with the site database. It's going to use the localhost cache if the site database is unavailable. Okay, if the site database is unavailable, then it's going to communicate
Let's see.
with the LHC. Even how it's going to communicate also, we'll discuss. After the site database, okay, it goes to storefront again. Okay, so storefront is getting the list of applications, resources in the form of XML file, and that would be displayed to Workspace app. So with this enumeration, yeah, enumeration is completed. Okay, so after enumeration, what is going to happen? After
Launch.
enumeration, what is going to happen? The application launch
Launch.
process is going to start. Okay, so user can click on that any of that application icon. This is also can be happen either from the browser or workspace app. Okay, so now here from the workspace app to again that request would be sent to storefront to
Delivery
DTC
controller.
again.
yeah,
DTC again.
delivery
Delivery
controller.
controller.
Okay, so from the delivery controller, it is going to check the database. Okay, again with the site database, in order to identify which of the sessions have been user having least loaded. Okay, these all the details it is going to give to. These all going to be given to
Storefront.
storefront. Then storefront will give launch dot
Dot ICA file.
Icon.
ICA file. Uh, launch dot ICA file to
User.
yeah, to the
Workspace
client
app.
device workspace app. Okay, so browser can't understand that launch.ica file. Only workspace app will connect. Then workspace app is or maybe the client device is going to communicate
VDS.
with the VDA, with the virtual delivery agent. It is going to communicate. Okay, so then if it is going to communicate with the VDA, okay, so VDA will ask the controller. Okay, controller to license server. If the license server grants the permission to the controller, to the VDA, VDA is going to be delivered to workspace app over the ICA protocol. Okay, so these all the communication is going to happen. And what is the ICA port numbers?
1494, sir.
1494. Okay, so now workspace app to storefront.
Sir,
So it's
80
a
on
80 or
443.
443. Okay, storefront to Active Directory, it would be Kerberos kind of authentication. Okay, so these all
380,
386. Okay, so then the
389.
386 or 636. Okay, so LDAP security port also we have. Okay, so these all the port numbers also we'll discuss. Okay, so then so what are the mission catalogs, and those also we'll discuss. So here we have the port numbers, Citrix broker service for the internal communication between the delivery controllers. Okay, previously that is IMA, and IMA port number is
12.
2512 and
One
console to server 2513. But now both are going to use either 80 or 443. Mostly in the real time we don't use 80. We'll have the certificates, then it's going to communicate over 443. Okay, then ICA and HPX also 1494 and 2598. ICA also having two port numbers. Okay, so here, this VDA to that workspace app is going to communicate over the ICA 1494. Okay, normal ICA session, and 2598 is for
session relay.
Session reliability.
session reliability. So what is that meaning of 2598 session reliability means?
If any network is interrupted, it will automatically reconnect the session.
Yeah, so the reconnection again, if it is starts from starting, okay, the user experience is very bad. The session is not going to last. It would be waiting for the reconnection. If the network has been retained within 3 minutes, okay, what is the duration? 180 seconds
180 seconds.
or 3 minutes. Okay, if the network has been retained, say, assume I'll tell one example. You have one device. You are moving over a lift. Okay, you are in the lift. You are not getting the network. Your connection is lost. Once you come out of the lift, again you want to start your session. Means your experience is bad. But if you enable the session reliability, the session is going to be reconnected automatically once you retain the network. Once you retain the network, the session is going to be automatically connected. So that is called as session reliability. For the security purpose, it is not going to use the same port number 1494. The reconnection is going to use 2598. That reconnection is going to use
2598.
2598. Okay, so then XML here we're not calling as XML service, but storefront to that controller communication is happening, right? Okay, so that server is act as that controller itself is acting as the XML service. Okay, that controller which is communicating with the storefront. Okay, and storefront to controller also, that means XML itself, that is 80 or 443. Storefront to receiver also 8443, and VDA 14942598. VDA registration again 80 or 443. Okay, so most of them, and license server ports are different. We have three types of port numbers are there. In order to administrate your license like console, like administrators can use log into the license administration console or license management console. That port number is 8082. Okay, so then if 8082 is already in use, we can configure 8083. Okay, and license server communication port is
27000.
yeah 27,000. So now the controller to license server communication is going to happen using this port. License server communication is going to happen using this port, and the vendor daemon port is 7279. Okay, so what is that? Here controller checks or connects with the license server using 27,000. Okay, so when the license server communicates with this license server, we have one encrypted license file. Okay, so we are getting a license file from the Citrix. That license file, like check-in, check-out process, all this is going to happen through vendor daemon. Okay, that port number is 7279 is the port number. 7279 is the port number used for that vendor daemon port is 7279. Yeah. Any doubts on this? So administration wise, we are going to use license server that is 8082. That means if you assume you have a license server is 155.35.56.72 is my IP address. If you want to connect to my license server, then in the browser I'm going to give 8082. So colon 8082. If I give, then it's going to communicate and will have the username and password to your license server. Using that license server, we can log in. Yeah. Any doubts on this? So we can administrate the license server using this port number 8082. Okay. And what is 27,000? The controller to license server communication is going to happen using the controller to license server communication is going to happen through
27,000
Number
port.
27,000.
27,000. Okay. And internally, we'll have a license file. Who is going to give that license file is like we will purchase from the mycitrix.com. Okay. That's having how many number of licenses and which product license we have. Okay. How much are in check-in, check-out. Okay. All these is going to be taken care by vendor daemon internally. For that communication, it is going to use what is the port number?
Vendor daemon 727.
727.
7279. 7279 is the vendor daemon port has been used by license server. So these three port numbers are very, very important. Then 14942598 and remaining most of them are 80 or 443 itself are the port numbers. But in the previous version for IMA, what is the port number?
2512, 2513.
2512 and 2513. Now, here we have one important port is there. Okay, that is SQL Server port number. That means here we have a controller to that site database. What is the port number is used is?
1433.
Yeah, actually 1433. This is the SQL Server default port number. Okay, that means 1433 is the SQL Server default port number. As we are using our database is SQL Server, okay, so we are going to use the same port number. But in the SQL Server, other than 1433 also we can configure 1433 like is not mandatory, but that is the default port number. Even we can configure other port number also. But don't confuse the interviewer. Tell them 1433
Double three.
itself is the port number used for controller to site database. Controller to site database that's going to use. Okay, and Active Directory having 389 and 636 port numbers. So now here we have the number wise also. Like one, this is the client device. It's maybe a mobile, thin client, zero client, tab, any of those. It's going to communicate over the workspace app is going to communicate. So now here one like a Active Directory. Okay, Active Directory is going to authenticate that username and password is valid or not. It is going to use Kerberos kind of authentication. Okay, so for the Kerberos authentication, they're using the port number something around 88 something. For LDAP, Active Directory itself will do LDAP. Okay, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. For that, they're going to use 389, and LDAP security is 636 port numbers. Okay, so now here the storefront contacts the AD using Kerberos kind of authentication. Okay, and AD returns a user to the storefront. Okay, then the user gets logged into the store. Okay, so storefront is nothing but our store. It's going to display. That means if you log into Flipkart, you will get all the items which you can purchase, right? In the storefront, the user is getting like his store of whatever the applications or resources, desktops, okay, all he can get it from this. Okay, then in the resource enumeration, the storefront process the credentials to the controller. Okay, then the controller contacts the AD for LDAP and identifies the user identity and the SIDs of the groups and groups and user identity. Based on these user SIDs and group SIDs, controller is going to contact the site database to obtain desktops and application data, and that data is going to be displayed in the form of XML format to the storefront, and storefront will display all the resources to the Citrix workspace app or receiver. Okay, then in the user will click on that any of that application icon which is displayed in his store on demand. All the resources are not going to be delivered. When the user click on that application, the desktop is going to be started and storefront contact the controller. Then controller reaches the database to identify the most suitable VDA. Then controller contacts the VDA. Okay, so then VDA returns a session key to the controller. Controller send that session key containing all the connection information to the storefront. That is, we are getting a file called launch.ica file. Okay, then storefront will prepare the launch.ica file and it's going to be displayed. Then Citrix Workspace app on the user endpoint contacts the VDA using the port number 1494 or 2598. Here browser connection is not possible. Then VDA notifies the controller over the connection setup and the controller contacts the license server to check out the license. Okay, once the user closes that session, okay, again that license is going to be checked into the license server. Okay, that means now it is assigning one license to the user. But once that license is expired, that again license is going to be given back to the license server itself. Who will take care all this is that vendor daemon will take care. Okay, check-in, check-out process, reading that license file, and what is the port number for vendor daemon?
7279.
Yeah, 7279 is the port number. Okay, then it is going to connect the session information also to the site database. Okay, then based on the session reliability, the connection is going to be connected. So what are those issues we'll get? Those all we'll discuss in the next sessions. Okay, so now this itself have been explained in this, but everyone very confidently need to explain these steps. Okay, so these are the key components. License server also is very key component, and additions all this uh, while installing the products we'll discuss. Okay, so now we have the license server grace period we have, and we have a 30 days grace period, and how that license server works also will discuss in the grace period. And So what are the high availability architecture of the Citrix? We'll
Select.
discuss. Yeah. So now here, while designing high available and high scalable Citrix architecture. So in order to design high available and high scalable Citrix architecture, okay, so what we need to configure is we required multiple controllers. Okay, so minimum we are going to maintain 3 to 4 controllers are required. Okay, so why we required multiple controllers is even if any of the controller goes down also, we have one more controller is required. Okay, we required multiple storefront servers also. We require the multiple storefront servers also is required. Then, so then we need to design high available clustered SQL server kind of database. We require a high available clustered SQL server also, because even if any of that database goes down also, we have localhost cache, but always at the database level also, like we need to go for high clustered SQL server. Even if one instance of the database goes down, the solution is highly available from another
Another
SQL,
instance.
another SQL server also. The solution is highly available. Okay, so even that is also we need to plan for the high available cluster also. But even if that clustered or single instance database is down also, so we have the local host cache is there. Okay, so that there is no impact to the users. Okay, so that is the purpose we have the local host cache is there. Okay, and in the hypervisors also, so in the hypervisors also in the VMware, we have uh, high availability, FT. So those also we need to design. Okay, so then even we can perform vMotion kind of things also. That means even one host goes down or one hypervisor goes down also, the solution should be highly
Highly.
available for us. Even if that hypervisor goes down also, the solution should be highly available to the users. And in those also, if the VDAs are down, automatically those VDAs will move to another host. The VDAs are going to be moved to another host. Okay, so like this, we need to design our architecture. So now, if the storefront goes down, okay, so there is no impact. Okay, so there is no impact to connected users. Okay, because already that user has connected, directly established a connection to the VDA itself. Now in the middle, if the storefront goes down, there is no impact to
Connected users.
Existing
there is no
users.
impact to the connected users. Okay, new users. If you have a single storefront server, they can't connect. Okay, the new users are connecting using the another storefront server. Okay, so we need to design like even one storefront goes down also. At the storefront level also, we have a storefront group, which is a clustered kind of thing. And from the another storefront, we need to design. Okay, in storefront, don't configure only one controller. Give the list of multiple controllers in failover order. What is this meaning? Okay,
Uh,
so the storefront to controller while configuring, don't give only one controller IP address or FQDN. Okay, say we need to provide
Multiple controllers.
multiple
Multiple
controllers. That means even if the storefront to controller communication is lost or controller is lost also, storefront is going to communicate in a failover order. If you give the second IP address to that controller, it's going to communicate, or one and two both are down. At least we have three controllers or four controllers, right? That all that list to give in a failover order we need to give in the storefront. Okay, then what is going to happen? Even if the storefront to controller or one controller goes down also, the communication is going to happen. The communication is going to happen. And even if the Active Directory goes down also, for that we have like additional domain controller would be there. Okay, in the real time, for the controller also, like Active Directory also, we'll have additional domain controller. What it is going to do, if any of that domain controller is down also, is going to provide the solutions for us. Okay, additional domain controller would be there that will take care. Okay, then if database instance, one database instance is down, we have clustered, or if you have standalone database, that means it's not clustered, still we have localhost cache. Okay, so even if the database instance is clustered also, then one instance goes down, another instance would be there, or we have a standalone database. So then using the localhost cache, the resources can be delivered to the users. In the earlier version of 7.x, instead of localhost cache, we have
Connection leasing.
connection leasing. So what is the difference between connection leasing and localhost cache also we'll discuss. Okay, then if in the middle, say if the database goes down also, no impact to connected users and connecting users also. Okay, then if controller goes down, no impact to connected user, because already that user section has been established. Okay, for new users is going to use, for the new users is going to use a
Controller goes.
new controller. So we don't have only one controller. That is the reason we need to design. So if you have a single storefront, single controller, definitely it's not a high available environment. For that purpose, we are going to design like this the high available environment. Even if one server goes down, the solution is highly available for the users. Okay. So any doubts on this?
No, sir.
Okay. So then if the database goes down also, and for the connected users also no impact, and if the license server goes down, if the license server goes down, there is no impact to connected users. For new connections, we have 30 days grace period. Okay, so within the 30 days, what we need to do is we need to restore our license server. We need to restore our license server. 30 days is a very good time for the admins in order to set up the database. If it is maybe 2 hours or 4 hours, maybe we need to panic. 30 days is a very, very good time we can restore. Okay, so now assume we have a VDA on multi-session OS. Some users are connected to that, server. Now that server restarts, okay, or hangs, or we got a blue screen of death. Okay, so we got BSOD on the Windows server where that Citrix VDA is running. Okay, then what is going to happen to the connected users?
Connect to the another video.
Yeah, some downtime would be there. Okay, for so once they reconnected, what is going to happen is so new connections won't have any impact because controller will redirect to controller will redirect to
Another video.
a new VDS to the new virtual delivery agent. It is going to be redirected, but for that connected user may have some downtime may be there on the fly. If that server goes down, they already connected to that server, then again they can reconnect to that. Then controller will take the decision to redirecting to.
New video.
Yeah. So that is the reason we need to monitor the connected VDS also. Like for the high availability, we need to monitor, and if more usage, we need to monitor those. Okay, because it is affecting the users, right? We should take care. The running VDA should be always health monitoring and resource monitoring. All that also we need to monitor to prevent restart kind of things or hanging, blue screen of death, because it's affect the users which are connected. But that is not to all the users. Some of the users which have been connected to that. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So according to that, we need to design our applications. We need to design for the high availability, and we'll have maybe 3 to 4 controllers, 3 to 4 storefronts also. We are going to design in the storefront group which are clustered. Then site database also, but site database you can tell separate team is taking care for that database team, and hypervisor also separate team is taking care. But L1 level we have the monitoring kind of knowledge. L1 level we have the monitoring knowledge we can tell. Okay, so these all we need to design. Then even if it is a single session OS also will have the downtime, maybe if that VDA goes down. If that VDA goes down, we'll have the downtime for the VDAs also. Okay, but once that user connected, automatically that's going to be created. So now here we have, once we created this, all these, like here we have 2 more administrative components are there. That is Studio. Studio is for, Studio is for administration. Okay, console. Okay, say for the administration console, we are going to use the Studio, which is Microsoft Management Console, or now we have Web Studio also. What is the advantage of Web Studio is over the browser itself we can connect to that. Over the browser itself we can connect to that Studio, And for the help desk administrators, for all those, you have director. Okay, previously the director name is edge site server. For the Citrix monitoring, we don't need to go for third-party monitoring tools like Nagios, Jabix. Okay, so most of the Citrix monitoring we can do it through director. Most of the troubleshooting, monitoring also will do from the director itself. Okay, then coming to the databases, say in the databases we have three types of databases we are going to configure in the SQL server. Okay, so what are those databases is for our Citrix site database, logging database, then third one is for the
Monitoring.
monitoring database. Okay, so now director is going to use which database?
Monitoring data.
Monitoring
Monitoring.
database.
And what is that logging database is? For the all the administrative events. Say, assume I'll tell one example. I'm an administrator. I deleted one application or maybe application group or delivery group I have deleted, or I have published a new resource, new catalog I have created a new user. See, these all the administrative changes. All these administrative changes have been already is going to store in the configuration logging database. Okay, so in the site database, all the resources details, like which of the applications we have published. Okay, so connection user details, which of the sessions have been connected. All these are going to be stored in the site database. And monitoring database, so why we are keeping three databases is it's a site database. If it is lightweight, fastly we can retrieve the details. If you keep all these three in the single database, it affects the performance. That is the reason they are going to design the three databases they kept. Okay, so in the enumeration and launch process, which database is going to connect?
SQL.
Yeah, SQL
Like,
itself. We have three databases here, right? Which
yes,
database is
site
very
Site
important?
database.
database.
Yeah, is the site database is going to communicate. That should be very highly available. Even if the configuration logging database is not available or monitoring database not available also, but site database is available. Even that is down also we have.
LHC.
Three.
Yeah, so we have the local host cache is there. Even if the site database is down also, so we have the local host cache is there, and using that local host cache, the communication is going to be established. Okay. So now the local host cache is also in the Xanap 6 and 6.5. Very, very important component. In the initial versions of that integration, they have not provided the local host cache. They have given the connection leasing, but later they have given the LHC itself. What is the main purpose of this is like even if the database goes down also, there shouldn't be any impact to the connecting users. Okay, so then like if any outage happens in the database, we shouldn't have any business downtime. The new connections also are going to establish by using the local host cache. Okay, so now what is the local host cache is going to happen? We'll discuss. Say here, uh, there is no downtime now. We have the database connectivity. Then the controller is periodically synchronized with the site database. So now here, see here we have in the SQL server, there is a small term called as replication. What is the term called replication is whatever the data I have, I'm going to replicate to another server. But LHC, not complete site database replication is not going to happen. Okay, only subset of site database is going to replicate. That means the complete data is not going to replicate. Only the partial data itself is going to replicate. That is very important to deliver the applications. That means whenever the connection is there, periodically, okay, so site database is going to be LSC is going to be, or controller is going to be communicate with the site database, okay, and it is going to replicate the data, okay, till what is the session before downtime is synchronizing all the data with the site database. Then, if the controller detects site database is unavailable, then it automatically switches the connection. Instead of going to site database, it is going to use localhost cache. Okay, already that cached, right? That data it is. So now, can you tell me, LHC is going to reside in which server?
Delivery controller, sir.
In all the controllers is going to be happen. Now try to understand in the Zen app. We have IMA LHC dot MDB. So MDB is a Microsoft database, that is an MS Access file. Okay, as a file it is going to store. Now in the newer version, SQL Server Express database is LHC. That means it's also an SQL Server kind of LHC itself. Okay, that means both are SQL servers itself. That means LSC also is an SQL Server database, and your site database is also SQL Server database. But all the data it is not going to give. Only important user data or resource data only is going to be replicated, and by default controller will communicate with site database itself. Okay, if the site database is down, then only it is going to communicate with the in the outage only. And once again your site database connection is established, again resynchronization is going to happen. That resynchronization means all the localhost cache, what are the new updates came, these all would be updated
Site database.
to the site database. Okay, so these all is going to happen. So now here, first is synchronization and outage has been detected, then the redirection to the localhost cache, and once the site database is available, resynchronization is going to happen. Okay, and localhost cache is on the 7.x newer versions, I think from the 7.x 12 it's available. Okay, then localhost cache is enabled by default. Okay, so then synchronization intervals, all these also will discuss. So automatically you no need to switch site database to localhost cache or resynchronization. You no need to switch it. That is going to happen automatically. It would be keep on checking for every 5 seconds like this. And if the site database is down, automatically it's going to be switch. Okay. So here we have a duration, right? How much duration?
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Okay, so now within a 90 seconds, if the site database is not available, then controller is going to switch the connection process to the local host cache. Okay, and in the earlier versions of 7.x, they have not given the local host cache. They have Citrix has given the connection leasing, but in the newer versions of that, connection leasing has been completely removed. Again, they bring back the complete local host cache itself. So we'll discuss the differences between connection leasing and local host cache also. So now the complete site database is not going to reside. Only the subset of information is going to be reside. The complete replication means it's again a huge database. Only the synchronization is going to happen. All the user groups which are assigned to the resources and which of the users are connected, recently used their published resources. Okay, VDA configured on the site, IP address, some basic information itself. Okay, so then if the controller goes down, sorry, if the site database goes down, Studio won't work. Means administration activities are not going to work. If the site database goes down, uh, uh, like we are not going to get the
Studio.
studio wise, administration wise, will have the downtime. But business is going to work using the local host cache. So now in the during normal operations, so here we have the Citrix broker service, and the controller accept the connection request from the storefront, and the broker communication with the site database to connect with the VDA. That's already we discussed. Okay, then the VDA synchronized service checks the broker approximately for every 5 minutes to see any changes have been made. Okay, and those changes, okay, maybe new resources have been published, those all the changes are going to be replicated to localhost cache. Okay, that's synchronization is going to happen. Okay, so now here in this we have one diagram. So now here this is the communication process. The controller principal broker is going to communicate with the site database, and the synchronization service is going to store all the details into localhost cache. In this, the connection is there. Automatically it's going to get if any outage happens, okay, so then the connections are going to be, controller is going to communicate using not with the principal broker, okay, because this connection is lost, then this high availability service is going to communicate with the local host cache, and from this is going to give the session data. Okay, because here during the outage, the secondary broker listening and processing the connection request, okay, then is going to communicate and all that connection details. Okay, then again once the connection has been established, is going to resynchronize. But in the outage, we can't perform the operations from the studio, or even from the PowerShell also we can't perform. Okay, and new applications we can't assign, or like a new resources we can't assign. Administration wise will have the impact, but in the Citrix environment, mostly we don't do much changes. Already that business continuity is more important for us. And don't expect every day your site database may be down, maybe 3 to 4 times in a year itself. But even if that happens also,
LHC is there.
LSC is there. That is the reason in the controller mission we should have a good RAM, minimum RAM, and more cores also is required. And here there is some limitation also. Maximum how many, 10,000 VDS is a very big environment itself. Even in an outage happens also. Okay, so 10,000 VDS is the maximum, but that is a very big environment itself. Then in the studio, okay, so we have the different type of roles we have. Okay, by default, don't expect everyone will get the administrative kind of role. Okay, so now here we have full administrator, and mostly to the L1 guys or L2 guys will give some read only or help desk kind of administrators, mission catalog administrators, delivery controller, delivery group administrators, and hypervisor wise, we have the host administrators, our VMware team. For them, we are going to give. Okay, so these all the permissions we have in our studio. Okay, so if I have the full administrator, I can do everything. If I am the read only, if I'm the read only administrator, what I can do?
He cannot modify.
Yeah, I
And
can't
only
modify. Only for the L1 guys or maybe help desk guys we may give. Help desk guys can log in even from the director also. And mission catalogs is L2 kind of guys we are going to get, and delivery group also L2 guys, and host administrator we are going to give to VMware kind of things, and we can create a different scopes also. So we can create the different scope of the objects also. That means custom kind of permissions also we can set. Those all the default users, like maybe full administrator, mission catalog administrator, or help desk administrator, read only admin. These all the inbuilt roles. But depends upon our requirement, we can create our own like custom kind of permissions also we can define by giving the scope. Okay. Then ICA. So what is the ICA is the Citrix proprietary protocol. Okay, and in the ISO OSA model, so total we have 7 layers, right? In the ISO OSA model, ICA comes under presentation layer. Okay, so total we have 7 layers. Okay, ICA belongs to presentation layer. On top of that, we have the applications. Those applications we are presenting to the any device using the ICA protocol. Okay, and in order to communicate that, we required one like a workspace app. So now here people will ask us ICA versus Microsoft proprietary protocol is RDP, and we have one more important protocol is there called as PCO IP. So PC over Internet Protocol. But in all these, ICA, or we can call as ICA, is the leader. There is no doubt about that. ICA is the leader in all these protocols. Okay, ICA is the leader. So now we need to differentiate what are the differences between ICA versus RDP also. ICA versus RDP also, what are the differences we have. So those also we'll discuss. Okay, then in order to communicate, we required workspace app also is required. And whenever the connection is going to be established. Okay, so now here the client to that VDA, either that is a single session OS, okay, multi-session OS, while communicating with the audio, like where audio may be playing, both sides. Maybe I want to talk from my microphone that need to be sent to my application. Our application is having some audio that I want to get on the client side. Okay, then like it's going to be transferred that audio also to the users. Then we have clipboard. So what is the meaning of clipboard? Cut, copy,
Certain.
paste. These operations are called as clipboard operations. That means I can cut, copy, paste on my client side that application, but those strokes have been sent to the server itself. Those strokes have been sent to the server itself. All these we can manage. Communication port, disk, graphics. Okay, LPT is one type of printer. Older printers will have those kind of ports, LPT ports, normal printer ports, smart cards, all these. So now here, the client to server, the virtual channels are the drivers. All these on the server side, the application is running, but these all rendered to client side. That is the driver code itself we have in the workspace app, and using these drivers, it is going to be establish the communication to the server. And for each communication, they have given the virtual channels. ICA virtual channels are very lightweight and doesn't use more like traffic. That is the reason you have in the latency networks also. ICA works very well, whereas RDP required more bandwidth compared to ICA. And all these are encrypted, very secure way also the communication is going to be happened. Okay, and we can control all these also through the like there are some policies we can control. That means I don't want to give the audio, I don't want to give the clipboard, I don't want to give LPT printers, I don't want to give normal printers. That's we can configure through the policies. So now here in the ICA virtual channel, like we have the drivers, how that client to server that communication is going to be established. So that is those all the driver code, all these we're getting in the form of your Citrix receiver or workspace app. Okay. Any Any doubts?
Hello, sir.